selection of excerpts from music that Aaron Copland wrote for the film The Red Pony in 1948. And there are four, it's played without pause, but there are four little sections. Morning on the Ranch, sounds of daybreak, the daily chores begin. A folk-like melody suggests the atmosphere of simple country living. Section 2, Dream March. Jody, the protagonist, has a way of going off into daydreams. He imagines himself with the cowhand Billy at the head of an army of knights in silvery armor. Section 3, A Walk to the Bunkhouse. Billy was fine with horses, and Jody's admiration knew no bounds. This is a scene of the two pals on their walk to the bunkhouse. There's a lot of walking over here. Section 4, Happy Ending. Some of the title music is incorporated into the final movement. There is a return to the folk-like melody of the beginning, this time played with boldness and conviction. You hear that? 1820, Johann Sebastian Bach was employed by the Prince of Anhalt-Köthen. And this prince, because he was a Calvinist, did not require Bach to compose lots of music for church, because they didn't do that. But it left him free to write lots of instrumental music for the prince's entertainment. And the prince was a fine musician. So much of Bach's great instrumental work comes from this short period in the 20s when he worked for the prince. Now, an enterprising composer couldn't just sell his music at that time. Telemann was a bit of a groundbreaker in that regard 20, 40 years later. But in the 20s, you basically had to get someone who was either, royalty or near about to pay you. Now, usually what you did was, if you were famous as Bach was, you wrote a piece, you wrote an unbelievably obsequious letter of dedication. Those of you who have to write grant applications can sympathize. But, and then you send it to some potentate and hope. So Bach wrote a set of 6 concertos, beautifully copied in his own hand, quite carefully, with a long dedicatory letter to the Margrave of Brandenburg. And he sent off the beautiful manuscript, and the Margrave responded with a few ducats for him, and put the beautiful book on his shelf. And there's no evidence that he ever took it off his shelf. But for us, that's a good thing, because it survived. It was never used, but it survived. So we now have the 6 Brandenburg concertos. Number 3, Bach was into numbers, and so he arranged 3. The original combination was 3 violins, 3 violas, 3 cellos. Get it? 3. So he put that one third. If it had been Sesame Street, this piece would have been brought to you by the number 3. And even in the structure of the phrases, the first famous phrase, da-da-dum, 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 tum-tum, 3, all over the place. So we're playing a slightly rearranged version that accommodates everyone, not just 3. How could I have chosen? So now we all get to do it. There are 2 movements. One is sort of solid and in duple meter. The second one is very zippy and in triple. Triple? order to level 4, there is no class tomorrow morning. Good. But there will be class Friday. Right, and we're going to meet for the next 2 weeks and do some sight reading and some other things, little technical things and some practice ideas to get you ready for summer. And if you'll notice on the program, there's some concert dates for next year. Already have them in the book. So write those down for the middle school.